Hello, students. Today we are going to talk about Freakonomics by Stephen and Stephen. This is a very intelligent book where he discusses economics along with real life incidences. So, everyday life economics. This book was very interesting for me because I am not an economics student, or I have not ever, I have never studied economics as seriously, but this book, it made the deal good for me. So let's start with the uh, next part. So, what is basically this book about? First of all, this very interesting cover. Although I read it on the Kindle mode, I do not know, but I really felt this cover is really interesting with that little fruit mixture of something, something not. So, yes. And also the name of the book, which is Freak and Economics, it is very catchy, I should say. Maybe it was really catchy in 90s, but yes, it still makes sense. This book is analytical in nature. It is the entire book is a long analysis of different concepts of different things and relating economics to real life. Like in childhood, we were always told by our parents that मैथ्स पढ़ लो क्योंकि मैथ्स आपकी रियल लाइफ में काम आता है एंड देन दे रिलेटेड मैथ्स इन आर रियल लाइफ की अगर आप सब्जी खरीदने जाओगे तो आप कैसे मैथ्स लगाओगे वहां पे in the similar manner, just inculcating a good life concepts and fancy words and all those things into the book, and they have came up with this book called Freakonomics. So this is basically analytical. Second is, as I already said, that it is connecting economics to everyday life. The entire book is divided into six chapters, and it is a long book. It was a really long read, at least for me. I'm sure if you are already an economics enthusiast, it would be really easy for you to read this book. So the entire book talks about this three incentive game: economical incentive, social incentive, and moral incentive. We all have been given these incentives all our lives, although we do not realize it. For example, when there is a popular song which actually says कि yes, अच्छे marks आए तो घड़ी वरना छड़ी. So basically, what in that particular line, it meant कि अगर आप अच्छे नंबर लेके आते हैं तो your parents promised you good gifts, right? So materialistic gift. So you would study really hard because you want those gifts. That means it was economical for you. If at all it was not economical, then it could have been social, that you will be appreciated in the society. Your teacher will call out your name. There will be a board in your school जहाँ पे आपका नाम लिखाएगा that you are the topper. So that is another way of looking at it. Or else it could be moral as well, that you really want to excel into whatever you are pursuing because it basically gives you that moral boost that whatever your parents are investing into your education, you are actually giving it back to them. So that would be moral. So basically, the game of incentive is everywhere, and we all know that. But here is the interesting catch. So the catch here is that for every individual, for all of us, incentives will work differently. So, for example, um, so if somebody has hurted you a lot, will you go to an extent to kill them? No. Will you go to an extent to take some revenge from them? Maybe yes, but most of the time, no. Will you continue to hate them? Yes, maybe. Will you ever forgive them? Of course, depends on the situation, how much of the hatred has been there, how much of the damage has been there. So basically, the difference lies in the feeling that we have, the degree of feeling that we have, and also the importance that we give to all these three individual incentives of moral, economical, and social. So basically, you and I, perhaps we won't murder somebody or kill someone out of revenge, but there might be someone out there who would definitely kill someone just because he or she wants to take that revenge. Are they not scared of the social incentive or the economical incentive that they are going to go to jail? Maybe they are, but their moral incentive is higher there. They want to take that revenge from that person. So basically, this incentive game differs from person to person. There are weird examples that author has connected. So that is how I started on to read the book. So the author has connected basically abortion with crime rate. It's a very interesting part, and you should definitely read that part of the book. It's a great read. The second thing that has been mentioned is the fine system. So basically, let's say if I introduce a fine here, that as we all know that legal edge is out there calculating the number of mocks that you are writing in 2 to 3 weeks. So let's say if you are missing out more than a mock or two mocks in a week, then you will be fined with rupees 50. Some of you this system can actually backfire. Here is how the author says. So the author said that some of you might not, so according to the story that author has said, some of you might feel morally correct actually after understanding that there are so many people giving out fines that you would say कि हाँ कोई भी तो नहीं दे रहा है तो मैं भी नहीं देती. That is moral incentive, social incentive. Some of you might feel that because it was personal first, that only you knew that you are not writing the box. Now the world knows because you're paying the fine. But again, there are so many people who are not paying the fine, so socially you might feel a little secure. Then there is economic incentive. So maybe there are chances that rupees 50 is way too less for you. So that way you feel that it would be great anyway because if I'm not prepared, there are other important things in life. I won't be writing mock, and it is okay to pay rupees 50 for such a petite thing. So basically, this fine system can backfire. This part of the book is really interesting because I have seen the fine system backfiring in school and colleges all the time, where you are supposed to pay rupees 5 as your library fee, and students end up paying rupees 500 by the end of 4 years. So yeah, true story. The next part of the book is the name game. This is a very interesting part where the author says that there are this is actually happening in India right now, that I see Indian parents naming their kids really fancier these days. So like Shania, Anaya, Aryana, all of those names. These names are really fancy. Somehow, when you hear these names, the sound of these names, they give you an impression that this particular child is maybe very liberal, is free, successful, and all those connotations are actually added to the name. Basically, I have added these two names to the list, that is Maya and Geeta. Both of them have a similar sound that they end with A. But do we see a lot of Geeta these days, Sita, or even Maya? That is not the case. There is a psychological logic and there is an incentive-based method that has been used to explain this name game. I suggest you that you should read the book, and especially this part of the book, because it's quite interesting and relatable for today's India. My experience with the book was that it took me really long time, like 6 hours to read the book. Maybe because it was my first book which had terms of economics given in the book, but it definitely helped me to understand my explanation basics of economics, maybe. Second is the practical approach that they have used is very nice and is very applicable to all the situations. And as a teacher, it would help me a lot to understand the psychology of my students. So you can also read the book and understand the psychology of people around you. So, yes, thank you guys. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.